evening, everyone. Welcome to ANZCAR Grand National Series final at Watkins, Glen. Yes, that's right. We're doing some circuit racing tonight in these classic cars. So no brakes, no steering, no aerodynamics whatsoever. And here we are. We're trying to run them around a racetrack like they did back in the day. I joined again by Chris Purnell this evening from Virtual Motorsport Mentor. He didn't get enough of it last week, and these guys running around the track here this week. Welcome to the coverage, Chris.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit more excited for this one than Michigan. Definitely got more of a road course background in the NASCAR, so I think we're in for a bit of a treat of a race tonight, to be honest with you.
It should be good. I'm just saying, I think, have we got a 2-lap limit on this one, or have we got a... Yeah, so I think it's actually only a 1-lap shootout here, basically, for the drivers. So we've just got the qualifying information up on the bottom of the screen there for you. And it looks like at this stage, Jason Hartley is the fastest man on the track. He's completed a 1 minute 12 flat. So that is a good lap. I'm judging by the fact that next closest car is Edward Foster at a 1:13.26. At 1:12, he's put the Q in the rack and has left that one to go. So looks like he's going to take out our pole position here. We've got 36 seconds left, and really tonight the key for these guys is going to be survival.
Yeah, definitely. It's from what I can see in the practice and stuff, there's a lot of locking up, there's a lot of sliding, there's a lot of guys losing control. It's yeah, I think they're in for a tough night of what have we got, 30 laps tonight around here. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I'm expecting quite a few guys to have issues along the way, and I think Jace is going to drive away with this one. I've raced him on the road a couple of times before, and he looks consistent and comfortable already.
What is the big difference for these guys here tonight? So again, leaning on your experience, obviously not specifically in this category itself in the 87s, because it's a new category that came around this year, but what are we looking for in terms of issues or problems with these guys circuit racing these cars?
So the biggest thing is managing the braking into the corners. So the real, I guess you could say, issue that you come in to face with quite regularly with NASCARs on a road course is wheel hop into the corner. It's where you brake too late, the front tyre pinches, and then you get like a bouncing sensation in the car, and then the car won't rotate, and it just causes grief, and it's a snowball effect, and it all starts from being further back into the corner before you even get there. So that will be the biggest thing that they'll be managing. In regards to other things, they're being sort of delicate on the throttle through corners will catch them out if they're not careful. Just being able to arc it up with all that extra power, not very much grip in the rear of the car. The car's going to move around a lot. It's not going to want to turn at high speed at all, so they're going to have to lift into the corners to get the car to start turning. So they're going to have a lot of things they're going to have to manage throughout the whole race here. And then just obviously the consistency and just trying to get that lap perfect every time without making very little mistake, because you make a mistake, you're going to slide into a fence here. There's not a lot of runoff room at this track.
Well, we've got I think it's a 30-lap race tonight, a timed event here to get ourselves through. So a little bit shorter of a race for the guys for tonight, and I think plenty of them will welcome that by the time we get through. On a Wednesday evening. There's part of the alterations to the track where you can duck off there. I believe that is the boot section, unless I am wrong, that we're not running with tonight. So we're running with the original version of the track. So this is like the 70s, 80s version of Watkins Glen.
Yeah, so this is the old spec before the bus stop was introduced. So there's no bus stop tonight, so classic boot. So the carousel itself, there's no boot section, no bus stop, so it's a straight shot from turn 3 straight down to the big bowl and then back up and through the last 2 chicanes. So it's quite a simple track. There's not a lot of variation from Sector 1 to Sector 3, they're very similar in the way you drive them. The real challenge is going to be making sure you brake nice and early for the bowl, and then also into Turn 1 just to not cause yourself any grief.
Well, we still on the pace car here. We're going to see him peel off into pit lane now, and we're going to get underway with Foster and Hardigan on the front row of the grid here. It was a little remiss of us not to take you through the grid there. We'll catch you up as we've got Hardigan from Foster, Clark, Aquejo, Carol Walden, who's had a cracking start. He is down and now into second position, but he has spun out on the first corner there. Lachlan Aquejo and Matty Raymond not able to get through, as we see a car flipping.
Norman's had a barrel roll at Turn 1.
And normally this would cue a yellow flag for us, but we're getting indications here that basically the entire field has crashed.
Yeah, pretty much. We've just got down to Sector 2, and there is cars everywhere.
There are literally 2 cars on track at the moment. One is Jason Hardigan, and the other is Edward Foster. So,
yep.
Well, Pummett, definitely, we should say probably what started with a bang. Is that the appropriate thing to say?
Bang and a flip, definitely, man. So, I had a feeling there was going to be issues. I didn't expect it to be 3/4 of the field, to be honest with you. So, it's going to be now a race of attrition of who can get back to the pits. I'm not sure if these guys have got a fast repair. I don't think they do. So, it's going to be just managing the race now and just dealing with the damage in the car, because there's guys spilling off as car 42s. Just run off the second last corner.
Yeah, Lachlan Aquejo there has head off into the dust. So we'll jump on with the next car still surviving, Matty Hunter. He is on his way around. We've got Hardigan and Foster well out in front now. A 14-second gap from Matty Hunter to our leader, Jason Hardigan. And this is, probably proving as challenging as I expected that it would, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's great to see Matt. He's made 7 spots up in the first lap, so he's obviously avoided all the carnage, and he's just got his head down now and focused.
And the other thing that I think, the other thing I think is Edward Foster will be extraordinarily happy to have wrapped up the championship last week. Coming into this one, not really the one where you want to be trying to make sure that you win a championship, so he can run this one and enjoy it at the front of the field.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Having that pressure off where he can just focus on his driving. He knows that Jason's a very solid road racer, so I don't think Edward will overstep the car. I think he'll just keep it in the limit, especially now there's a 12-second gap to third place already in 2 laps. So I think he'll just get in his rhythm and he'll just bank the laps now, and hopefully maybe have Jason have an issue. He'll be there, but if not, then he'll be happy to take second tonight, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did speak with him after last week's event. He was very, very clear with his idea that Jason Hardigan was going to be the one to beat here this evening, and so far he's been proven correct. Hardigan, the fastest man in qualifying and the fastest man on track. These two around about 3 seconds a lap faster than the pack that's developing behind them, a long way behind them, to be brutally honest. But we've got Matty Hunter and Norm Clark here in this battle for 3rd and 4th. They did not necessarily both avoid the damage at the start. Clark did get involved there, and in fact we'll do that. We'll just head back if we can.
He's had a dive and he's ended up in the wall.
Oh,
Norman's just had a massive moment.
And that is it.
And it's somebody else spinning in the background.
That's it for Norman Clark. Yeah, we've got Tristan Cox there off as well. This is turning into a bloodbath.
It's very quickly escalated to who can keep the car on the track more than who's racing who at this point in time.
Absolutely. I want to go back to this start here and have a look at this early on incident. So we'll just jump back through the replay. And we'll just see if we can pick up where this all starts. It looks like Foster was probably lucky to get through the... Oh, no, yeah, right on the inside there. That was it. We saw Josh Carroll Walden get wide down the inside. Then 42, which is Lachlan Aquejo's come through, hit him. Then we just need to switch cars here if we can. And then there's number 9, which is Norm Clark. He's had that big flip. Almost done a complete flip free in the air there at the start of the race. And then, yeah, it's all gone kind of downhill from there. So, not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. And then Scotty Rankin had an issue as well. We'll jump with that one. I think he just copped wide and then got hit on the re-entry. Yeah, he did. Oh,
Yep.
wow. Yeah, no, another big accident there. And he's flipped over too. So he's ended up over the fence on the inside
Oh, wow.
of the track. So, yeah, that's
That'll-
a start.
Yeah, that'll be why Scotty's parked the car for the night. Obviously, too much damage. So that's a shame to see him out so early.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
And we really don't want to see anyone getting out that early. And for some reason here, it's just decided that it wants to not let us play. And as we get back there into business, so that's what's happened here at the start of this race. We've got 26 to go. And it is absolutely a war of attrition with a number of drivers getting involved. In fact, all bar 2 drivers getting involved in that early incident. Before the race, someone would have said, let's take it easy on the first bend, boys. Yeah, I reckon that probably was in the driver's briefing. But, well, I'm not sure that anyone's listened all that well, unfortunately. But you know what? It is the last season of the race. Well done. It is the last race of the season. I'll put my teeth back in now. I'm struggling a bit. It is the last race of the season, so you know what? It's a challenge for them. Obviously, these cars not really set up to run quick around these types of circuits, even though they did back in the day. It's just not something that we're used to driving. So always going to be a challenge. That's what we love, though.
yeah, that's exactly right. It tests the guys to the limits, and they're definitely at that limit at the moment. As I'm just watching Norman range up on the back of JCW, Josh Carroll Walden, at the moment. So Josh is holding position at the moment, but he's looking very loose out of the corners, and I don't think he's going to be able to drive that car on the ragged edge like that for too much longer.
So we didn't find out beforehand, and we should have, whether or not there was any fast repairs. So given that he did get an early amount of damage, I'm going to suggest that maybe they did have them, but we're also showing that none of these guys have been through plane, so maybe they turned damage off.
No, there's definitely damage, but because these are steel body cars, I think they're quite resilient to what they can take. But there's definitely some bent front ends up in them cars already, so it's going to be interesting to see how they manage this. The other thing I'm quite curious on is, we're speaking to a couple of the drivers before the race, and they were saying that they're not even quite sure on where the fuel number is and if they're going to have to stop for fuel. So you may see some guys run out of fuel at some point and have to take a splash, which will just add to another adventure.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the wacky race cars with that you used to be on like Saturday mornings, where they're all in these weird design cars, and you got like, you know, Dudley, is it Dudley, Dastardly Dog, and all those guys running around and trying to cheat and run the race. It was a little bit like that. So
yeah, it's definitely feeling that way. As Norman has a look down the inside of Josh Carroll Walden. Oh, nice side by side there. Just enough room given. Oh, Josh is going to try and hold it around the outside here. Oh, good move.
and we've
Good
got
move.
Norm Clark there just waiting in the wings for whatever transpires in front of him to happen.
Yeah,
he
that's-
decides what he's going to do.
Yep. And then you got Matt Raymond just tucked in right behind him as well, just being patient, playing the waiting game at this point in time. As Norman has a look down the inside. Now, he missed his braking marker last time, so let's see what happens this time. Oh, and Josh has run wide this time.
Josh is turning to do it.
Oh, he's kept
done
it
really well there.
Oh, good job, Josh.
It's yeah, it's just really difficult for them to get these cars.
Oh, this time.
Josh is turning to do it. And,
Oh, he's kept
done
it
really well there.
Oh, good job.
Just trying to get the job done.
That's it.
Thanks for the
Yeah,
like
big
before as well, Lukey.
Be interested to see what Matt Raymond's got for Norman here. Matt's a very consistent driver, so I think he's just playing the waiting game a little bit at the moment. I don't think he's going to go too hard too early, and he'll wait for Norman to make that mistake.
Yeah, well, and that's part of it, isn't it? I mean, with what's been going on early in the race, you'd think that a lot of these guys would be sitting back going, you know what, if I just put pressure on here, there's every chance that I will just get a pass because really they're probably going to run wide. So I just need to lap at a consistent time that's going to be safe, that I'm going to get around every lap, not damage the car, and then see what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Pressure the driver into making a mistake more than you actually trying to overtake somebody. I am very curious, but to have another good look at the front of Norman's car, because he has got some very hot front brakes. I can actually see them glowing through the tyre. So I'm very curious. I think he's running a lot of front bias there, which is going to cause him a lot of grief in about 5 laps' time.
Yeah, well, we don't really have a view. I was thinking, what can we do there to get you a look at that? And we don't really have a view of that. You can see them there, as you're saying. This is daylight. Yeah,
and they are red hot. So I think he's going to have some very difficult problems with that car braking in another 5 or 6 laps, because he's just going to use all that front tyre up, heating them things up. But what I am curious to see is Norman and Matt Raymond are both gaining on Matt Hunter as well. So Matt's dropping back. Edward's just running his own race up there. I don't think he's pushing too hard. He's looking pretty comfortable, consistent. Jason's just going to town at the moment. So I think you're not going to see any issues from Jace or Edward unless they come into problems with the lap traffic, which could play a factor at some point.
So we'll keep an eye on that gap at the front as well. Everyone lapping in the mid to high 16s, early 17s, other than our leader Hardigan and Foster, who are Jason Hardigan's just done a 15.5, so easily the fastest
trucking,
man.
yeah,
easily the fastest man on the track. So we'll keep an eye on that battle at the front, but really it's on here. Clark and Raymond is where the meat in this sandwich is at the moment. So see what they can do there. You can see there them just glowing away. So really jumping on them to get it done, get it to turn in and stop.
So Norman took 1.2 seconds out of Matt Hunter that last lap. So they are coming for him pretty quickly at this point. Now I'm curious to know if maybe Matt's fuel saving a little bit to make it home without stopping. Because that's a huge time deficit between them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got no idea on the fuel numbers on these cars. Obviously, going from oval track to here is a completely different kettle of fish. So, you know, really no idea in terms of what are they going to be able to achieve. You'd have to think with 30 laps, they're going to need a stop. But how close to the end are they going to need that stop? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I know the car takes about 83, 84 litres in the tank, so it's quite a bit of fuel there. But I don't know if there's a fuel cap on the tanks or what the burn is per lap, which I'd be really curious to find out, because I think it's going to be close. I reckon they're probably going to do 28 laps, and I reckon they're going to have to pit, some of them are, but I might be wrong.
No, I think you're spot on. So we'll see how they go. We'll certainly jump on board and have a listen for any fuel saving that we might be able to hear as well, to see if we can pick up on these issues so that we know whether or not they are actually going to need to jump into pit lane or not.
Yeah.
We get through this one. If you are in the chat, jump in, say hello, let us know that you're here watching, and let us know that you're enjoying what is going on here with these 87 series cars. We've got 19 laps to go now, and aside of the early carnage, it's been a Hardigan Foster show at the front of this one. We're currently sitting with Norm Clark and Matty Raymond as they battle away for 4th and 5th position in this race. Nice and wide there, using all of the track. Matty Raymond, as he tries to eke every little bit of performance out of that car that he can to stay ahead of Norm Clark. So just conjecturing about the fuel window that's going on there and what they want to do. Well, look at the front of that car. That is literally looks like a boxer's nose after a heavy bout. So part of that comes from when you run head first into a piece of Armco.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Matt did a really good job to get past Norman, but Norman looks to have come back at him a little bit now. I think Matt's having braking problems as well down at the bowl the last lap. He ran a bit deep there, but they're still catching Matt Hunter as well. So the gap's now 3.7 seconds to Matt Hunter. So they've pulled in another 1.5 seconds on him over the last 2 laps. So they're definitely coming. So it'll be interesting to see when they get there if they can make something happen for it.
And how much do you know about these the cars themselves? So what are we looking at? Let's put it into perspective against a V8 supercar, which is our closest formula to these. I mean, these are probably closer to our VN series, our really early 93 series, 94 series V8 supercar. Any ideas, brake sizes, tyre sizes that we're sort of running here?
So I'm pretty sure they still run a 14-inch tyre. The tyre, I don't think's changed with the rim at all in NASCAR. I think it's been the same sort of size for decades. In regards to braking, I'm pretty sure they run a drum rear and disc front, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%. But no, the characteristics, like you said, are very similar to an early supercar. Not much aero. Car's going to move around a lot. There's not a lot of assistance to get the car to be stable. You stand on the brake pedal, it's probably going to drop to the floor before you actually get any brake pressure. So there's a lot of similarities to very old style racing. I don't know enough about the car to really sort of talk about it too much, to be honest with you. It's not something I've spent any time in, really. I think I've done maybe 25 laps in these things on an oval. So, and as for racing, I've watched a couple of classic races, but not enough to sort of know everything about them.
Well, I'll do some investigationing in the background here, and I know that's not a real word. It's a hark back to investigationing with Brian Shelton, for those of you Hamish and Andy fans out there who used to watch that back in the day. But Brian Shelton used to do investigationing as a segment on that show. So we'll have a quick look while we can in the background to see what we can find out. What do we got here? The Monte Carlo Gen 3 Monte Carlo from 87 season. It's got a 358 cubic inch Chevy V8, 650 horsepower, and the car weighs 3,700 pounds. So 3,700 pounds, we've got this 2.2 pounds per kilo, or 2.2 kilos to a pound. No, the other way around. So we've got 3,700. So it's about 1,700 kilos. So it's actually quite a I wouldn't say it's a heavy race car actually for the day. It's a full-bodied car with a roll cage in it. It's not a space frame. Are they steel body cars? Yeah, I'm pretty positive they're a steel body car. So to have that sort of weight is quite impressive, considering how much weight the motor would be. And yeah, that surprised me actually. So just getting a little bit more into the stats when I get rid of this silly thing that's just come up on the website here. Looking at exactly the stock car that's running as well, the Ford.
Yep, the Thunderbird.
Yeah, obviously it does not have a Chevy motor in it. That would never happen. A modern day car of this like may have a Barra in it, but it certainly doesn't in this case. So yeah, same sort of horsepower. There are no restrictions to it. It doesn't tell me a lot here other than wheelbase and things like that, which tends to make me think that it's a pretty basic build in terms of the car itself. I'm just trying to find more information on it because I want to know what we're looking at. You mentioned 14-inch wheels. You don't mean diameter, you mean width, yeah?
Yeah, width.
So what are we looking at, like a 16 or 17-inch rim?
I think it's a 16 rim. And I think that's what they're still...
It's almost a
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, man. Like, yeah, it might be diameter actually. I know they've got quite a small rim on them. I don't think they're as small as a modern NASCAR, but I don't think they're far off.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it out. A bit more info. Top speed of these cars, 342 kilometres an hour is the real life record.
Yeah.
And
Matt Hunter comes to the lane.
there you go, early on. So
Early pit.
Well, is it early on? Maybe it's not. Hopefully that's not the distance for the tank. It can't be.
Well, it's lap 15, starting lap 16. So if he split the race in half, he's going to take tyres and give himself the best chance here. That's what I believe. That's Matt's strategy in it. So makes a lot of sense. He's just broken the race in two. So
I hadn't actually noticed that we're already halfway through the race in our conjecturing about the specifications of the 87 NASCAR.
I did watch a documentary once on the history of NASCAR,
Yes.
and there was a quote that has stuck with me through the rest of my racing, and it was always like, it wasn't the fact that nobody cheated, it was the fact that you knew when they cheated when they got caught. And it was like, NASCAR in the 80s and 90s was known for just people exploiting every little bit that they could. People were running nitrous oxide at times and all sorts of stuff. So it wouldn't be surprising to know that these cars were pretty unrestricted in their abilities and what people would do to make them go fast.
Loosely regulated.
Yeah, well, it was. He said it wasn't the fact that there wasn't regulations. It was just how could we trick NASCAR into believing that we were doing the right thing. Was more the quote that sort of come to mind from it. So yeah, they used to hollow out body panels on the back and all sorts of crazy stuff to try and find an advantage.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty pumped. I've just opened up our stream on Twitch just to have a quick look at and checking some changes, and it's in 720, so the streaming is better. But so for those of you watching, hopefully you're enjoying an improved image on your screen. So I'm breathing a sigh of relief there. So if you are on, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a whatever it is that you want to do to celebrate that little milestone for us as we continue to get through this one. Matty Hunter, the only driver thus far to have trundled down pit lane for the stop they're going to be required to make to get through to the end of this one. So that means that he has dropped down to last in the field. Keep an eye on his lap times though, just to see whether or not the fresher tyres are going to benefit him here. The track temperature, I'm imagining it's going to be in the 30s somewhere. Yeah, 33 degrees there on the graphic we just brought up on the screen. So grip will certainly be an issue. And at 4 o'clock in sim time, this race will run well enough for that to change too much. As we're on board with Hunter here, is giving Carl Withy a hard time. Carl having not pitted as yet either. So battle at the front's pretty stagnant. Jason Hardigan has cut and run with this one. He's still 10 seconds up the road from Edward Foster. Matty Raymond, 56 seconds down the road. He has been battling a little bit with Norman Clark, but that battle has spread. And then we've got Josh Carroll Walden as, believe it or not, the last of the cars on our lead lap. So race leader Jason Hardigan here has lapped every car up to 5th position.
Yeah, that's an impressive run very early on. I mean, we're 18 laps into this. I think Jace is on his 19th lap now. Yeah, so he's coming to lap 20 now. He's right behind Josh Carroll Walden. He's just about to put Josh a lap down as well. So he's just checked out on everyone here. I mean, he's got nearly 10.5 seconds to Foster. And then, like you said, the rest of the field is nowhere, really. Matt Raymond's definitely started to gap Norman now. I think them tyres are starting to cause Norman a bit of grief. From what I can see, he's running a bit wider. He's locking brakes more regularly. So I think that might be it for Norm trying to get back, unless he gets some new fresh rubber on that car. But I'm surprised that nobody else has pitted yet with only 11 laps to go. I'm starting to think that maybe Matt just tried something a bit different in hopes that it'd come back to him, but I don't know that it will.
Yeah, well, surely he wouldn't need to not pit and then pit anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange that he's pitted and nobody else has pitted yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's my sort of...
It's your guide.
Yeah, it's like... If it was me in the wheel of the car and I knew we had 30 laps and I knew we had to pit, unless the guys are just going to take a splash of fuel and they're not going to worry about tyres, then they would go longer, because obviously the less fuel in the car at the end, the faster you're going to go. Especially if they're going to chuck some rubber at it, maybe somebody's going to try and break a fast lap or something, I don't know. But for Matt to be the only one to pit in the last sort of 5 or 6 laps and nobody else looks like they've come to the lane yet, I'm starting to question a few bits.
Well, and Matt's faster than every car between him and Peter.
Yeah.
So it hasn't helped him in terms of track position. He wasn't really getting held up by anyone. So if he didn't need to pit, they're the only sort of reasons that you would do it, is to try and get out of traffic or try and create an undercut and move yourself up the field. And he's not going to get the benefit of any of those things at this stage. As in the background there, we just see Joshua Carroll-Walden running wide as well. So let's keep an eye, obviously, on our lead pair, or just about anyone throughout the field, to see if they're going to pit as well. I see Carl Withy has come into pit lane, so we'll see whether that, I'm assuming that's just for his pit, and that would mean that we do need, if we start seeing more come in, that the guys are going to need to pit in to get through the race on fuel.
Yeah, definitely. So it's maybe they'll all start coming to the lane in the next couple of laps. Maybe Matt just decided to try and take the early advantage, because he was in a decent track position. Then he had Matt Raymond and Norman Clark catch up to him, so maybe he thought, I'll pit now, try and get a bit of an undercut on these guys, so that when they pit, I'm going to sort of jump them quite easily. So and as you can tell, his last lap, he was a second faster than Matt Raymond. So if everybody's got to come to the lane, he could be playing himself right in beautifully for a podium here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what comes of that as we get through the last 9 laps of this last race of the season. Just having a look here, we've got only 2 cars that have pitted through, and I was just checking on Matt Hunter's lap time last lap out, and he's still lapping at the same pace as those the leaders of the race, so he's not yet getting any benefit out of having changed tyres. So maybe tyre drop-off here is not necessarily as big an issue as he might have thought that it was. He could have just been struggling, of course, and decided to get the new tyres on, knowing that he might be able to drive his way back through the pack.
Yeah, so he's not faster. He's about same pace as Edward on older tyres, and he's about 4/10 slower than Jason. But where it's really working for him is Matt Raymond. He was 7/10 faster that lap than Matt Raymond. So and Matt's just had a massive lock up at turn 1 as well. So that's just bleeding more time. So if they do pivot, I think it's going to play into Matt's hand, but the question is, how far up the road is he going to be, and are they going to come back at him with fresh tyres with a couple of laps to go?
Yeah, potentially so. I just wanted to touch as well, so we mentioned tonight is the last of our races for the Grand National Series, but that doesn't mean it's all over for ANZCAR on the FGM eCast network, as we've got a couple of... basically, we're going to do some fun races, and it's going to be a variety of rounds. I'll just bring up the poster on the right hand side of your screen there as you look at it. Next Wednesday night we're actually going speedway racing. We're doing some street socks, some super late model stuff, fixed setups, and we're heading to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So we were lucky enough to broadcast some stuff for the NZSR boys on Tuesday night, my apologies, just gone, and as in yesterday, last week, for those of you stuck in the ISO bubble, and it was some of the best racing I reckon I've had the fortune of broadcasting. So a little bit of an unusual car, I believe, to dump into the season for what they do here, but definitely looking forward to broadcasting that one next week. Same time, same place, as you can see there, 8:10 p.m. As we try and grow this Wednesday night series and audience as well. It's been one that's a little bit of a struggle. I'm not sure what happens with Wednesday nights on iRacing. Chris, we were talking about it before the broadcast here, that just looking through the numbers of active people watching iRacing on a Wednesday night, and the numbers are horrible. Hardly anyone at all, and I don't think it's because there's not enough variety even in the racing that's on. It just seems to be something on Wednesday nights because it's not iRacing specific. There's just not a lot of people watching esports on a Wednesday evening.
Yeah, it's definitely, it seems to be the quiet day. I don't know if it's that sort of hump day scenario where everybody's sort of midweek, they're just trying to get their stuff done so they can enjoy their weekend, or yeah, I don't know. It's always been a quieter day. But
traditionally in the business world, that's Tuesday. That's why you've got Tight Bum Tuesday on at the cinemas on a Tuesday night, because you know, in retail world, and that Tuesday night is the night where everyone goes into hibernation. You know, they're sort of over the weekend, they're into the grind of the week, and they've got the CBFs. So it's Tuesday nights is normally that night. So I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's I don't know, man. Like, I don't have a voice connected to the population to know what it is, but yeah, it's always been a quieter sort of night for racing, even, you know, like you've got your sort of your major series that always happen, as we're just watching Matty Raymond have a look up the inside of Norman into the bowl. No, he's going to break out of it. Just let Norman drive the car in. I'm still very surprised nobody else has pitted yet, so we're only 6 laps from the end of this thing, so I'm not really sure what's going on there either. But yeah, it's interesting to know that the Wednesday for the esports and motorsport sim racing is quite quiet.
Jumping on board while you were talking there with Matty Raymond, just to see if we can hear any indication that there might be issues with fuel or what have you. One of the details about this car that I love is you can see there that taxi cab style metal braided fan down on the tunnel, as we just see it there on the steering wheel, as the steering wheel turns and the hands clear our vision to blow cool air down onto the driver's feet. And I can only assume that's because the amount of heat coming through the firewall from the headers from the motor is so severe that the driver needs some cool air blown down there to make sure his feet don't get burnt.
I would definitely say that would be the case, especially with a car this old. There's not like fireproofing wasn't as popular or wasn't as well made back then, so I'd say these things, even though they're older cars and there's a lot of open windows and air flowing through the car, it'll be very hot air flowing through these things.
So they're battling with the understeer, but doing a really good job, and just keeping the pressure on in front of him. He wants to get onto, I should say, the podium if he can. So some rendering issues there as well for the game. That is happening, but anyway, we'll keep on regardless. As we see here, he's all over the back of him. He's trying to get the job done so that he can get through and get a win on this one. It's actually the game doing that, which is very interesting.
It'll be getting ready for our new build. That'll be what that is. It'll be starting to turn stuff off to get us prepared for our new content coming tonight, which I'm very excited about.
And is that not available for download now?
No, it will go available once the service goes down. I think tonight's service goes down at 11 p.m. So as of 11 p.m. we can click that download button, because I reckon it's going to be a big update. I reckon we're looking at maybe 12 to 15 gig, I reckon, for this next one. So very exciting things coming to the service. But
yeah, well, we've got lots and lots of car updates. We've got new tracks, lots of updates to the tracks. There's interface updates. It's a huge one, and we've spoken about it before on the channel, where we've had so much growth in the iRacing community through the COVID crisis globally, the increase in participation on iRacing, and what that's done is it's a double-edged sword. It's led to a whole heap of new money coming into the sim, And as a consequence of that, a whole heap of extra feedback as well from the number of professional drivers getting involved.
Sorry to cut you off. Jason's just had a massive moment into turn one. He's grabbed the grass and he's nearly put it in the fence, but he's managed to gather it up. But he's still pushing, considering the gap he's got. He's just lost 5 seconds, but he is hustling this car still.
His last lap around was the fastest on the track by over 2 seconds. So
yeah.
No need to do it with 3 laps to go.
No, that's exactly right. The last thing you want to do is put it in the fence with 2 to go and ruin your race when you've had a faultless race. So I'd say for him, he'd be pushing to try and lap the 2 in front of him to lap the whole field other than Edward. I think that would probably be his goal, but at the same time, there's no point putting it in the wall just to try and lap a couple of people.
Yeah, exactly. So as I was touching on before, the sport's had such a good influx of newcomers, and along with that, the professional drivers as well doing their bit. The feedback that iRacing's been able to take on board and use to develop tyre models and changes in aerodynamics for these cars has really helped the sim come along in leaps and bounds. I think it's fair to say that it is the #1 racing simulator ahead of Gran Turismo and all those other things that other people look at in terms of realism and professional participation. It's the one to compete with, so they've been able to go further ahead. Obviously, the new Gran Turismo coming out with the new PlayStation at some stage later in the year. And let's be frank, Gran Turismo, it's a little bit arcadey for mine, but certainly equally a game that promises to come out for a heck of a long period of time before it actually gets out onto any platform. And the beauty of iRacing is it's forever updating. The core's there and they just keep building on it and making it better and better and better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's actually very interesting that the makers of Gran Turismo have recently come out and said that they want to bring it across the PC as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that in the future and what direction that as a simulation takes. I completely agree that it's probably a little bit arcadey for my liking as well, personally. But I think what they've done with the service or their service and how they've given guys an opportunity to race in real life from it, and the FIA World Championships every year, like, they're doing great things for it as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens down that path. But yeah, I think for an ever-building content, iRacing's always developing and improving, and I think this next build is going to change quite a lot of stuff, especially with the sound, the new team model where you can't sandbag iRating anymore. You have to nominate your drivers before the event and stuff. I think it's the service is taking the steps in the right direction to really create a competitive online experience for us all.
Yeah, and look, ultimately, it's good that both of them are doing it because it gives one another a competitor to run.
Push against.
So as we get towards the end of this race, we're still on board with our race leader here, and he has all bar that one slight off track towards the end of the prior lap there. He's about to bring it around and he will take out the final race of the series here at Watkins Glen, our only circuit race, and it is a big congratulations to Jason Hardigan for taking out the race here this evening at Watkins Glen. We haven't given them a lot of airtime because, to be honest, they've taken us around in a procession this evening. Edward Foster coming home in second to bring home that championship officially. So congratulations to him for winning this series overall. So a great result for our drivers, and look, something I hope they do a little bit more of. If we can get bigger fields next season, definitely something I want to see more of.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite an enjoyable race. It went very fast. Unfortunately, I've just noticed Matt Hunter in the pits as well. So he's had a big issue. He's been in there for nearly 5 minutes now. So he's dropped 3 or 4 laps there. So yeah, that's a shame for him. But yeah, I'm shocked that him and Carl pitted when nobody else in the field did. So that's a very interesting one in my eyes, why they've done that.
Matty Raymond coming around to finish his race. They're getting extremely loose on the last corner. He's doing the old Shane Van Gisbergen and just dropping a few burnouts on his way around to complete the race. And a good solid run from him after getting past Norm Clark in the midsection of the race. As you say, I mean, people have pitted here when really there was no need.
Yeah, it's a very curious one. I might have to go and have a chat with Matt after the race and see why he did that, because he was in a prime position for a top 5 tonight, and yeah, he's definitely passed it up for a pit stop.
Without any real reason why. Okay, so we'll just wait. I was hoping to see if there was any celebrations. Normally, Edward's pretty timid in his roll around, and he is again here tonight, even though he's taken out the championship. He'll spray the virtual champagne all over the sim room and then get in, no doubt, deep poo and have to clean it up. So it's but it is him taking out the championship. We'll stick with him. Jason Hardigan's pulled into pit lane. A very tempered celebration for him this evening.
Yeah, definitely. I expected a little bit more celebrating than that, and yeah, it's a shame he's parked it up, and that looks like it's it.
Should have been big things. Should have been burnouts and cartwheels and all sorts of things. But
I remember when I won my championship, I blew the motor up, so it's I'm surprised, especially in something that old with that much horsepower. I'd be ripping the rear wheels off of it.
Well, we'll bring him into pit lane. Into pit lane. We'll bring him into the broadcast booth now, and congratulations, Jace, on delivering what everyone expected you were going to deliver this week, and basically just showing everyone how it is to get around here, lapping all bar one car in the field.
Oh no, I didn't lap second and third and fourth, sorry.
Oh, third and fourth. Sorry. Oh, that must have been as a consequence of that one slight little glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, where I went wide. Yeah, just got the grass. Not really paying attention to what I was doing. Straight ahead. So
looking out the window.
Yeah, so lucky I had a good enough margin on Ed.
And I don't know, are you guys aware of what happened behind you on lap 1?
Oh, I saw it on my rearview mirror and then just went.
So we can give you a recap of it. Everyone other than both of you got involved in an accident on turn 1. Yeah.
I saw JCW up the inside, and then carnage ensued, basically.
But pretty much everyone got back on board. But obviously a fantastic drive from you here, Jason, at the only circuit race we had in the season, and yeah, a really strong result.
Yeah, we should do more of those, I think. More circuit races.
Well, you'll have to speak to Edward about that, obviously. Ed, second place tonight, a good result from you, but we're pretty disappointed, mate.
Where's the burnout?
Celebration at all.
Well, if you guys can find me a stock car race from the 80s where there was a victory burnout, then I'll eat my words.
Okay,
no.
Fair enough. Well, there was one in the end of the movie Cars, so...
Well, that famous 1987 thriller Cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really, I was just kind of expecting to be sort of fighting for second, third tonight, and you know, because Jason was going to clear off, obviously, and with what happened at the first corner, it made that real easy. So I was just sort of driving around from there. I managed to keep Jason in sight for a little while, but other than that, I was just sort of trying not to make any mistakes, trying not to go off or anything like that. So yeah, happy to wrap it up that way. Would have obviously preferred to win, but yeah, it probably just wasn't on the cards either way. So yeah, I'll take P2.
No, great result as well. And after that early incident, or getting involved in the early stuff, we've got Matty. No, we don't. What am I talking about? What's going on here? Sorry, Josh. We've got Josh with us as well. Yeah. Josh Carroll-Walden finishing in third. My timing
fifth
here is showing me a whole heap of things.
I've got the results page, man. I can DM you.
No, it's all good. No, for some reason my timing monitor's changed. I think it's just because people kept going beyond the end of the race. So, good result from you after the early issue.
Yeah, the start probably wasn't my brightest moment. Lachlan ahead of me was a bit slow off the line, so I decided to have a look on the inside, and it turned into a bit more of a look. And then, I spun at the apex, held my brakes, and then he hit me. Then I got going, and then I got tagged by Scott Rankin. And I had a look at the replay, and the two cars just came together really. He was rejoining the track, I was keeping a straight line. So yeah, not one of my brightest moments ever, but managed to scrape P5 off it in the end, so started where I finished. So yeah, not my best race ever, but something I'll take.
A podium nonetheless.
5th place. I got 5th place.
So why is it showing me that you got 3rd?
I don't know.
Very interesting. So that would explain then we need to get that fixed. What a pain in the neck that is. Anyway, well, welcome to the celebrations anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess I'm part of the winning team, so yeah.
Well, you played your part in securing the victory, even if it was kind of a bowling ball part. So
yeah, it was the express train through that did it. So we were touching earlier in the commentary as well about next week, what we've got coming up. Obviously, this concludes our series here, and we're headed into Speedway territory next Wednesday night. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Ed?
Yeah, so obviously this season wrapping up, want to try something a little bit different. So we're going to a few of the sort of smaller, more regional tracks with a few of the more grassroots cars, grassroots in the States anyway. So we're going to be running 2 races a night. There's going to be a short race and a longer race. This first night, we're going to be running the street stocks and then the super late models for the longer race at the end. We're going to be changing those around each week. There's going to be at least 2 races on each night. Like we say, there's not going to be a series points championship or anything like that. It's just going to be whoever wins the race on the night. And of course, that means obviously if you have a bad night, you can just come back next week and start from zero again. We're going to just be doing a few little things as far as limiting the tyre sets people have got available and things, just to add a little bit of an extra dimension to it. But it should be really good. Looking forward to it.
And if people want to get involved?
Yeah, just hit us up at the ANZCAR page. You can obviously also search the ANZCAR League in iRacing, and you'll need to join through there. But all the info should be on the ANZCAR Facebook page, so just run a quick search for that, and you'll find us, and all the information will be up on there.
Is there any minimum license requirements or anything like that?
There is not, no.
Beautiful. So if you're looking to get into something like that, or at least to get into these series, the guys do a fantastic job in running them, so it's a good time to get involved. It's not going to be extraordinarily serious because there's no championship implications. It's just a fun night on a Wednesday, fun race, I should say, on a Wednesday night to get involved with. And if you're interested in running, as Ed said, jump on the Facebook page there, hit them up and get involved. We'd love definitely to pump this Wednesday night grid up a bit and get as many of you as we can out there, particularly as we head into next year as well, and hopefully another 87 series coming our way.
Yeah, definitely fingers crossed. I'd love to do another one. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be working hard with you to try and make that happen because we definitely want to see it and we want to see more cars in it. So we'll see what we can do with that throughout the off-season. But in the meantime, next Wednesday night, Speedway from Nashville Fairground. So looking forward to bringing you that one. That'll kick us off at 8:10 next week. So starting a little bit later in the evening, which is good. So hopefully people can join us there. That just about wraps us up for this evening. Chris, highlight for the night?
Probably the carnage into turn 1, to be honest with you.
Was it the full 360 in the air, or?
Yeah, it was definitely Norman's barrel flip that definitely was pretty impressive. And then for him to get back on 4 wheels and then finish in P4 was pretty cool to see. So, well, yeah, apart from that, it was good racing. Yeah, other than that, no, nothing from me. Excited for SLMs next week. I think that'll be a lot of fun, especially at the new circuit. So, looking forward to seeing how they go.
And are you going to be running, or are you going to be helping me out?
I may run. I may help you out. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see where Chris's mindset takes him on Tuesday night next week.
I think Ed just hit on something there. I think the answer is actually both.
Oh, I'm not that talented. I can't do
We
two.
need you to live commentate from the car.
Oh, if it was anything other than the SLM, I may consider it, but that's a beast to hold on to.
Yeah, but that's okay. You don't need to hold on to it with your voice. You need to hold on with it with your hands. So, you know, it's just an excuse, really. But no, look, that's good. Another car out on the track would be fantastic. So, that's about it from us for Wednesday night. What have we got for the rest of the week for you? We've got Thursday night AEE, so Australian Endurance E Championship, coming to you from the Le Mans Series. I'm really struggling for words tonight. I think I've been talking too much all day. The Le Mans track, and that's tomorrow night starting at 7:10. So we've got a 2-hour enduro there, where Chris will be fighting to hold on to the lead of the GT3 Championship. With the updates going through overnight, both the GT3s and GTE cars will all change. So the driver's effectively going into that race blind, with very little time to set those cars up. So it should be an interesting one. And then we've got just some random stuff for the rest of the weekend with some of the 2K21 games.
Up late.
Sorry.
And up late on Friday night.
Yeah, we do. So we're reintroducing, and for those of you who followed us for a little while, we used to run a series called Free Time Fridays, which was our way to kick off the weekend at 5 o'clock on a Friday night. That all got curtailed when we got into COVID restrictions back in March. But we're going to roll that back out now, and we're going to start doing that 10:30 Friday nights. It's our up late show. We're going to talk about just about whatever crosses our mind, which is why there is the time frame there. So if you've got sensitive ears, definitely still jump on anyway. But no, just a more open conversation about all things gaming and guys and all that sort of stuff. So Free Time Friday to roll you into your weekend. There'll be some gaming around that as well. We'll probably jump on Fall Guys again and just show you just how tragically bad we are at that game. So plenty to come this week. So again, jump on board with us. If you're interested in joining any of the series we broadcast, reach out and contact us. And certainly if you're interested in working with us as a commercial partner, we are looking for sponsors for our upcoming series well into next year. So drop me a line, Stuart at fgmecast.com, and we will have a chat from there. I'm Stuart. Thanks, Chris, for this evening. And we'll see you tomorrow night for AEE from 7:10 here on your Place for Pace FGM eCast. Thanks for joining us, and good night.